Hey team, good morning. Jesse Reynolds here with your WOD video. I believe today is Monday the 28th of April. We just got off of the back end of Champions Day. I hope that every one of you did the right thing and got yourselves in the room and got your team and new people in the room as well. The one here in Jacksonville was incredible. And one of the things I loved about Champions Day is it was so strong on teaching and training on the fundamentals. I've got several people who have given feedback on the Jacksonville one, just about how the training lineup was incredible. Many people said the best training they've ever been to. And, there's so many great things in AdvoCare, so many exciting stories, and we need to bring enthusiasm to the table. But we can never allow ourselves to drift away from the fundamentals of AdvoCare. The fundamentals, you have to fall in love with the fundamentals of AdvoCare. That is where you're going to be able to build your business at a high level, because that is where you're going to find duplication, and duplication is really the foundation for our business if you want to build a large walkaway income stream that AdvoCare is capable of providing for you and for your family. So one of the fundamentals I want to talk about here are three-way phone calls. Now, it was drilled home during Champions Day how to get your prospects on the phone for three-way phone calls, why three-way phone calls are important. Hopefully you all understand and accept that is a part of the success system. If you want to build your business, you have got to get your prospects and your team members on three-way phone calls with your leadership. But as you want to take your business to the next level, you really need to turn that corner from just having your team members, from just you doing three-way phone calls for your prospects and new team members, to you beginning to do the three-way phone calls for your team members, having them bring their prospects and their new team members to you for three-way phone calls. When you can master this, that's when you're going to see large-scale duplication going. And I know several times when we have newer people on the team, I'll hear things like, "Well, I don't know if I'm really ready for it," or that sounds really hard," or "Can't you just do another one for us?" And the reality is, if you want to take your business to that next level, hopefully all of you on this WOD video who are part of the WOD group, you're looking to build your business to Ruby and beyond. If you want to do that, you have got to be able to do three-way phone calls to your team. And you also have to be able to teach your team members, because again, this is a teaching, training, and mentoring business, not a sales business. As you can learn these fundamentals and then teach them, train them, and mentor them towards your team members, you will really see that growth begin to happen again. Here's a phrase I want you to jot down. And if this is something you have trouble saying or believing at face value, you need to read this out loud often. Perhaps every time before you do a three-way phone call for your team members. And the phrase is this: three-way phone calls are fun and easy. You need to adopt that mindset. I love doing three-way phone calls. I know that is the best way that I can help my team. I know that is the best way that I can help that prospect, is by me being introduced to them on a three-way phone call. So three-way phone calls are fun and easy. If you are doing what you should be when you put your prospects on three-way phone calls with your leader, you should be on mute and you should be taking notes. And when you do that, you're probably going to notice some patterns emerge. I know when DJ and Marissa Janakis got started, they did 11 three-way phone calls with us their first week. After 3 or 4 of them, DJ made the comment of, "You say the same thing every time." And that is exactly correct. I do say pretty much the exact same thing every time, because I can't allow myself to get bored with doing the fundamentals over and over and over again, because for that new person, I may have done 10 three-way phone calls that day, but it is that person's first three-way phone call. So I have to bring the same level of excitement, enthusiasm, and I have to bring the same level of professionalism to the table so I can best help that new person. So when you're doing three-way phone calls, you want to make sure and teach your team members to introduce you and edify you properly. Certain word choices: "This is my friend. This is my friend Jesse. This is my friend Sue. This is my friend Betty. They are the ones who are helping us with X goals. I know you're interested in X goals yourself. They are the best people to help you with X goal." That's a great way to introduce and edify your friend. Not your sponsor, not your diamond leader or anything like that. Just your friend, okay? So, hey Billy, this is my friend Jesse. I know you're interested in wanting to lose a little bit of weight and pay off some debt. Jesse has helped so many people that he's the best person to talk to. That's a great way to introduce and edify to teach your team to introduce and edify you, because then their prospect, the only thing they know about you is that you help people with their goals. Then when once they made that introduction, you want to make sure your team member is placing them on mute so they do not interrupt anymore. And then you take control of the conversation. Here is the aim of a three-way phone call. There's a couple different phases to it. This is the first one and the most important step of a three-way phone call. All right. So jot this down, highlight this, bold this. Do not rush through this, even though your tendency, I'll be honest, my tendency is to kind of skip over this part, but you cannot do that. This is the most important part of the three-way phone call. Make a friend. Circle that, highlight it, bold it, underline it, tattoo it, whatever you have to do. Make a friend. You have got to find a way to connect. Now, I'll be honest, some people are more challenging to connect with than others. But love everybody that you have an opportunity to speak with on a call. Don't prejudge them. Don't get short with them just because sometimes people are more reserved. Sometimes people are more skeptical. Just continue to love on them. Continue to try to find ways to connect. And the way that you do that is that you ask questions. He or she who asks the most questions controls the conversation. That is the art of conversation right there. So ask great questions. Here's a first really easy one to get a conversation started. Every single three-way phone call that anybody has ever put me on, and any single time I've been at a two-on-one meeting or met someone new at a mixer. How do the two of you know each other? You should jot that down. That should always be the first question you ask somebody. How do the two of you know each other? That is going to just lead to conversation, and they're going to tell you how they know each other. And whatever it is that they start talking about, just ask more questions about that. Ask more questions about that. I would say most of my three-way phone calls I get on are 25 to 30 minutes. I spend probably the first half of that phone call just asking them questions, trying to understand who they are, what they're looking for, what is important to them. Okay, so how do the two of you know each other? It's a great starting question there. And then just continue to ask more questions. What do you do for a living? Where do you live? Where are you from? How long have you been doing that? Tell me about your family. Are you married? Do you have any kids? When you're not working, what are the types of things that you love doing? If you weren't busy working, what would you prefer to be spending your time doing? What are the things that you are passionate about? Just ask more questions. There's no specific rhyme or reason to it other than having the intention of getting to know them better and understanding what their purpose, their reason are. And ask very specific intentional questions also. If you're on the phone with an income prospect, don't assume they want to make money. Even if your team member already told you, like before you got on the phone, hey, he's interested in money, don't assume that. Have them tell you that. Hey, Billy, just so I'm clear on this, is adding an additional income stream to your household something that you're interested in? That's a fair question. Most people are going to answer the positive, but you can then lead off of that question into the 4 questions. Okay, Billy, that's awesome. So, specifically, how much part-time monthly income would really make a difference for your family? And they give you an answer. That's awesome. So how soon do you want to be earning that type of income? And they give you an answer. That's great. That's a really good goal. I appreciate you sharing that with me. Hey, Billy, so if you were earning an extra $1,500 a month by December, what is it that extra income would really allow you to do? Awesome. Really cool. Yeah, so you guys would be able to pay off all those credit card bills and take that vacation this Christmas that you want to. Awesome. So why is that important to you anyway? I mean, have you guys not been able to take the vacations you want to in the past? I mean, have you struggled with credit card debt? Tell me a little bit more about that. That's another really key phrase. When people answer questions, whatever it is, they've been an electrical engineer the past 10 years. Oh, that's really cool. Tell me a little bit more about that. How do you like that? They tell you that they're going to school because they want to get their master's degree because they think they'll get a raise at their job. Okay, really cool. Tell me a little bit more about that. How do you like that? What do you plan on doing once you get that degree? Asking questions is the way that you connect. Once you've asked a ton of questions and you really have gotten to know them, you know their purpose and you know the answers to those 4 questions of how much specific monthly income, how soon do you want to be earning that income, what will you do with that income, and why is that important? Once you've gone through that whole process, take 10, 15, 20 minutes, all right? Go as long as you can without talking about AdvoCare. And even sometimes people are going to try to ask you questions right off the bat. So, so how much does this challenge cost? That's a really good question. There's a few different ways that you can get started with that. But why are you interested in the challenge? Do you have goals that you want to accomplish? So you can turn that. Don't get into question answer mode. Control the conversation. Be the one who asks questions. You can turn that right around. So what's the deal? Do you do this AdvoCare thing full time? Yeah, absolutely. My wife and I have been AdvoCare distributors for a few years now. But why do you ask? What is it that Billy has shared with you that has caught your attention? Is earning additional income something you're interested in? It was bringing your wife home from her job and being a full-time mom. Is that something that you guys are interested in? Just ask more questions. Ask more questions. Ask more questions. I hope you're understanding the point of this is to ask more questions. At the end of that, once you've done all the question asking, you've really gotten their purpose out, and you've really connected with them, then you go into sharing your story. Share your story. Share your package story. Don't tell them every single detail there is to know. You should be able to tell your story in about 2 minutes time, and then ask them a question of what part of that is of interest to you. And they're going to be they're going to hear whatever they hear, and then you can again ask more questions about that. Okay, so why is that part of interest to you? Have you ever considered a Plan B income? Have you ever looked at another income opportunity like an AdvoCare? Asking more questions again, and then you want to make sure and ask for a decision at the end of all that. Once you found out what they're interested in, you shared your story, you've connected with them. So you know what, Billy? There's 4 different ways you can choose to get started. You explained retail, wholesale, distributor, advisor. Which one of those 4 sounds like you? Ask for a decision. Great. He says, I'm really interested in the advisor thing. So then you want to make sure and end with an action step. Okay, Billy. Well, how soon do you think you want to get started with that? Is that something you're ready to get started with today? And it's a yes or a no. And if it's not, say, okay, that's fine. How soon are you thinking you're ready to get started with that? And maybe you have to give them an action step. Don't assume that because you did 1 through a phone call that person is going to all of a sudden go to diamond because you did 1 through a phone call. It is rarely how that happens. Several people need follow-up. And now here's another important piece on follow-up. Your new team member is not the best person to do the follow-up. You are the leader. You are the best person to do the follow-up. So Billy's brand new. Billy puts you on the phone with his friend John. You do the through a phone call with Billy for his friend John. And at the end of that, you share advisor. Well, maybe you have John go watch advisormovie.com to better explain how advisor works. And so you now remove Billy from the equation and you set the follow points. You know what, John? I've got a 16-minute video called advisormovie.com. I want you to check it out. It's going to explain to you everything that's involved with you getting into the advisor level. Like I said, it's about 16 minutes long. How soon do you think you can watch that? I could probably watch it tonight after work. That's awesome, John. Hey, why don't you go ahead and give me your number? And tonight about 8 o'clock, I'm going to give you a call and I'm going to follow up with you. So you remove Billy from the equation and you are the leader. You did that through a phone call for the prospect. You do the follow-up. If you will adopt these simple disciplines, I guarantee you're going to start to see depth grow in your organization. You're going to start to see your override check grow, and you're going to begin to see more team members on your team get paid bigger incomes. You guys are champions. We have 9 days left in the biggest pay period ever. Continue to promote Line of Two. Continue to ask people for their business. Continue to ask people to be a part of what it is that you are doing here with AdvoCare. Continue to share your story. Go out there and get to work.